The diplomatic vessel Virellian Grace hovered in orbit over Earth, a silver crescent reflecting the sun's light as it drifted silently through the thermosphere. The ship's corridors were aglow with soft green lighting, humming gently with the sound of active systems. On board, the crew of 82 Virellians moved in orchestrated precision, every movement calculated, every task logged to the millisecond. Until he sniffled. Brayden Laskey, Earth's appointed cultural liaison, stood at the main observation window in a thick navy hoodie, arms crossed tightly over his chest. A faint sniffle escaped him again, followed by a subtle cough into his sleeve. He blinked, rubbed his nose with the back of his hand, and muttered, "Great, not now." He turned around, weaving past a passing Virellian technician. The alien, whose long limbs and blue-violet skin shimmered faintly under the lights, paused mid-step. "You are leaking," the technician said, its golden eyes narrowing. "What? Oh no, it's just a cold," Brayden replied, waving a dismissive hand as he shuffled toward his quarters. "Nothing serious." The technician froze. "You are cold and leaking?" "Not like that," Brayden said, voice slightly congested. "I caught a cold. It's a virus humans get. Common. Annoying. I just need tea and a blanket." The Virellian turned sharply and tapped a panel on the wall. "Medical emergency. Viral containment required in Sector 4. Repeat possible biohazard." Brayden stopped walking. "Wait. What? No. Don't." Red emergency lights flared. Doors sealed. A high-pitched alert sounded through the corridor. Within moments, 5 Virellians in shimmering containment suits swarmed the hallway, plasma barriers clicking into place behind them. One aimed a scanning device toward Brayden's head. "Subject is emitting nasal fluid. Elevated temperature detected. Quarantine protocol activated." "I just need a blanket," Brayden said, exasperated. "And maybe some aspirin." The lead medic turned, a tall, silver-skinned Virellian with a cluster of sensor nodes along his crown, stepped forward. "You are infected?" His voice quivered with what might have been panic. Or awe. "It's a cold. Seriously. Happens to humans all the time." Turned to the others. "He is deteriorating. He admits to frequent infection. This may be a species-wide systemic vulnerability." Brayden sat down on the floor, back against the wall. "I'm not dying. I just need to lie down." The Virellian stared at him. Took a cautious half-step closer. "You are requesting horizontal positioning while ill." "Yeah," Brayden muttered, "because I feel like crap." Another Virellian, younger and more jittery, leaned toward Turn. "He appears resigned to the end. He accepts his decline." Brayden groaned. "No. I just need a nap." The aliens conferred rapidly in their own language, a staccato of clicks and warbles that Brayden had mostly stopped trying to decipher. Turn turned back. "We will transfer you to the containment chamber. You will remain under observation until your condition stabilizes or you expire." "I'm not going." 2 cloaked arms lifted him, gently but firmly. Brayden sighed and let it happen. He was too tired to argue. The containment chamber was a sterile white room with a single padded bench and a wall-mounted screen showing his vitals. A heated blanket was delivered in a sealed container. Turn watched through a transparent shield as Brayden wrapped himself tightly in it and lay down. "Do you require sustenance?" Turn asked. "Something warm. Maybe soup. We have synthesized a nutrient fluid based on your prior consumption records. It is orange and viscous." Brayden blinked. "You made orange goop? It is rich in electrolytes and protein structures. It will support your immune mechanisms." The door hissed open and a tray slid in. A translucent bowl of glowing orange sludge quivered slightly. Brayden stared at it. "I'll just pretend it's chicken noodle." He sipped. It tasted like lukewarm seawater with a hint of mushroom. He coughed again, winced, and pulled the blanket tighter. Turn scribbled notes furiously onto a datapad. "Subject appears to endure suffering with minimal distress vocalization. High pain threshold. Possible evolved tolerance to internal cellular decay." Brayden coughed again. "Dude. It's a cold. Give it 3 days. We will monitor for 3 rotational cycles." Hours passed. By the ship's evening cycle, Brayden had developed a mild fever and sinus pressure. Turn returned with a new concern. "Your core temperature has risen. Is this the pre-terminal stage?" "No, that's a fever. It means my body's fighting back. It's a good thing." Turn nodded slowly. So your internal systems ignite themselves to eliminate infection. Sort of. Yeah. Incredible. You were self-combusting to resist external biological threats. That's one way to put it. Turn to a nearby assistant. We must update the Earth physiology database. Their bodies weaponize heat. This is not a passive species. Brayden sneezed loudly. Turn jumped. Was that an expulsion of viral agents? No. Well, yes. But it's also just sneezing. It's involuntary. You weaponize expulsion. Brayden groaned and leaned back. I'm not weaponizing anything. I just want to sleep. The lights dimmed. He drifted into a fitful slumber interrupted by coughing fits and the occasional mechanical beep. Across the ship, containment measures tripled. Crew members wore masks. The galley was sealed. A corridor was fumigated. By the next morning, Brayden was sitting up, sniffling, eyes heavy but awake. Turn returned with a new scan. You are still alive. Yes. You are improving? A little. Your species recovers from viral infection in less than a week? Usually. Turn looked disturbed. Our bioculture has required generations to adapt to singular pathogens. You nap and then recover. Brayden coughed into his elbow. That's why we have immune systems. We must study this. You have faced extinction-level symptoms yet remain functional. Functional is generous. Turn tapped his datapad. Recommendation: retrieve additional human volunteers for further immune system analysis. Brayden shook his head. No more humans. Just let me get better. At that moment, the ship shuddered. An alert blared. Unidentified shuttle approaching. Came the voice through the intercom. Turn stiffened. An unscheduled vessel? Brayden sat upright. Is it hostile? No. It bears Earth identification. A moment later, the doors hissed open and an Earth medical officer, Dr. Nellie Easton, stormed in, her boots clanging against the floor. Where is he? Turn blinked. You are not infected. No, Nellie snapped. I'm his doctor. You called Earth Command saying he was dying. Where's Brayden? Turn pointed. Brayden waved weakly. Nellie rushed to him. Brayden, for the love of what happened? I sneezed. Nellie turned to Turn. He has a cold. He is recovering slowly from a catastrophic biodecline. He has a cold, Nellie repeated more firmly. Turn looked genuinely shaken. He requested a blanket. Nellie sighed. He always does that. Brayden coughed again. I like blankets. Turn stepped back as if re-evaluating everything. And this event is normal among your people. Very, Nellie said. You should see us with the flu. Turn's hands trembled. There is more. Brayden leaned back into his pillow, eyes closing. Wake me when you're done panicking. Nellie patted his arm. You'll be all right. Just rest. Turn turned to his assistant. Begin a full cultural database update. Include cold, flu, blanket dependency, and nap-based healing ritual. Brayden sneezed again. Turn flinched. We will also require containment protocols for sound-based expulsions. Brayden pulled the blanket over his head. You guys are exhausting. By the second ship morning, Brayden had regained enough strength to shuffle barefoot around the containment chamber, dragging the heated blanket behind him like a royal train. His nose was red, his voice hoarse, but he was no longer horizontal or radiating mild fever. Turn observed from the other side of the glass, brow ridges furrowed in silent contemplation. A junior medical analyst, Rivek, hovered beside him, awkwardly balancing a tray of sterilized instruments and a sealed vial of Brayden's nasal discharge. He's mobile, Rivek said, barely hiding his anxiety. There's residual inflammation, but metabolic activity is stabilizing. His thermal levels returned to baseline approximately 2 hours ago. He appears confident, Turn muttered, despite partial system compromise. Inside the chamber, Brayden tapped the wall panel for the third time, his voice muffled through the speaker. Can I get real food, please? I don't know what that orange stuff was, but I'm starting to hallucinate toast. Turn pressed a button. Your nutritional requirements were met with the synthesized gel. It adheres to the recommended Earth dietary profile. I didn't need an oil slick full of vitamins. I need butter. And something with crunch. You know what toast is? We have studied your cuisine. Toast is thermally modified grain substrate. Exactly. Bring that. With butter. Real butter, not nutrient paste pretending to be dairy. Turn to Rivek. Prepare the substrate. Add dairy analog. Ensure it is crisped. Rivek blinked. You want me to cook? You've seen the archives. Follow the thermal profile. Inside, Brayden sagged onto the bench and blew his nose into his sleeve. This is the weirdest fever dream I've ever had. 37 minutes later, the food arrived on a tray sealed inside a triple-layer containment dome. It slid through the decontamination slot with a hiss. Brayden opened the dome and stared. 2 slices of toast, slightly overcharred, glistened with something approximating butter. The smell was close. He took a bite. Okay, not bad. Bit dry, but not bad. Turn leaned toward the glass. You are now consuming thermal substrate? Yeah, and it's helping. Real food always helps. He chewed noisily, crumbs falling onto the blanket. You people have a lot of tech, but not a single box of crackers? Rivek stepped to the console. He is restoring energy. The act of consumption appears to accelerate recovery. Of course it does, Brayden said through a mouthful. It's toast. The moment was interrupted by a chime from the corridor. The tall form of Ambassador Vale entered, his ceremonial neck crest pulsing faintly with disapproval. Behind him trailed 2 aides and a floating record orb. You summoned me, Vale said flatly. Explain the urgency. Turn straightened. The human underwent a biosiege. He survived. Vale's eyes narrowed. The same human who demanded a blanket? Yes. The same. Is he now weaponized? No, Turn said quickly. But he has displayed recovery behaviors inconsistent with known biological models. His systems adapted without external intervention. Vale folded his hands behind his back. And this is unusual because the virus did not require engineered countermeasures. No nanocytes. No gene therapy. He simply endured. Brayden raised a piece of toast in greeting. I'm right here, you know. Also, I'm not a science experiment. Vale ignored him. Endurance is not unique. Some species hibernate through illness. He remained conscious, Turn said, and communicative. He experienced discomfort but continued interaction. And now he demands dairy products. I asked for butter, Brayden corrected, licking crumbs from his fingers. Not a crime. Vale turned to the orb. Record this. Human subjects demonstrate abnormal tolerance to viral distress. Psychological resilience appears unshaken by cellular disorder. Brayden waved both hands. Hey, I was very shaken. I just didn't roll over and die. Vale narrowed his gaze. And now I need to stretch. And maybe brush my teeth. I don't see the relevance of oral cleansing. I do, Brayden muttered, rising and adjusting the blanket like a cape. You ever taste your own mouth after being sick for 2 days straight? Rivek whispered to Turn. He is upright and mobile. We should scan him again. No more scans, Brayden said, pointing. No more glowing sticks near my ears. I'm fine. Let me out of this cube. Turn hesitated. He may still be contagious. Brayden leaned toward the glass. If I were contagious, you'd know by now. Nobody else is sick, right? Rivek cleared his throat. We have not observed symptoms in the crew. Exactly. Your air filters work. Your suits work. Let me out. I'm not going to sneeze on anyone. Vale raised a hand. Release him. But maintain a 5-meter radius. At all times. A hiss, a clunk, and the chamber door retracted into the wall. Brayden stepped out, blinking under the corridor lights, dragging his blanket like a tired monarch. Turn took a cautious step back. You should wear foot coverings. I couldn't find my socks. We can replicate new ones. I'll manage. Rivek offered him a hydration tube. Brayden took it, inspected it, and sighed. Do you guys have anything that tastes like lemon? We have simulated citrus profiles. Great. Hit me up next time. This just tastes like metallic sadness. They walked slowly through the corridor, Brayden occasionally stopping to rub his eyes or lean against the wall. Crew members parted around him like he was radioactive. Some bowed slightly. Others simply stared. Why is everyone looking at me like I just came back from the dead? Vale replied without glancing at him. You represented a high containment anomaly. Now you are a subject of interest. I had a cold, which nearly paralyzed ship operations for 2 days. Not my fault. We disagree. They reached the observation deck. Through the curved window, Earth hung below, pale blue and oblivious. Brayden sank into one of the cushioned chairs. Do you plan to return to your planet? Vale asked. Brayden tilted his head. You trying to get rid of me? Vale considered. No. I am evaluating risk. You may carry residual pathogens. I'm not a walking plague. That remains under review. Turn approached, holding a small data slate. Would you consent to a full sequencing of your immune cell response? Brayden groaned. Can I at least brush my teeth first? We can sterilize your oral cavity for sampling. That's not what brushing is. Then we will observe the act. Brayden slumped further into the chair. You know, back home, when someone gets sick, we just leave them alone, maybe drop off soup and let them nap. Vale raised an eyebrow. Your species isolates the ill voluntarily, without containment infrastructure. We call it being considerate. Turn scribbled. Social ethics tied to pathogen transmission. Note for cultural integration module. Brayden closed his eyes. I'm going to lie here until someone brings me coffee. Real coffee. Not your algae juice version. Rivek whispered to Turn again. Do we have a caffeine-acclimated beverage? We can synthesize. Use Earth parameters. Brayden waved a hand without opening his eyes. Make it strong and hot. And if it's green again, I'm throwing it out the window. Vale turned to leave. Prepare his quarters for reintegration and install additional filters. Turn nodded. And the coffee? Give him the beverage. Let us see what else these humans consume to cheat mortality. Brayden cracked one eye open. And maybe a Danish. Turn blinked. Explain. It's like a pastry. With jam. You'll figure it out. The orb recorded every word. Brayden stood barefoot in the corridor, still draped in the scratchy heated blanket, now trailing toast crumbs and the faint smell of overcooked dairy. His hair stuck up at odd angles and he had a faint but determined gleam in his eye that suggested a man who had survived something mildly annoying and intended to make sure everyone knew it. The coffee arrived first, delivered by an anxious logistics officer with 4 arms and an expression like someone ferrying a volatile relic. Brayden accepted the steaming cup, sniffed it cautiously, then took a sip. He paused. Okay, he said, blinking. That's almost decent. The logistics officer blinked all 4 eyes. We based the profile on your social media beverage images. Wait, you stalked my coffee posts? We observed your public feed. Hashtag Morning Survival Fuel. Brayden exhaled through his nose and nodded. Fair enough. He lowered into one of the seating alcoves near the viewing deck, pulling his feet up under the blanket. A soft chime signaled the approach of Turn, who carried a flat silver case. I have brought your requested dental implement. It has been replicated with Earth-standard bristle resistance and mint chemical simulation. Brayden opened the case and stared at the toothbrush. It was slightly longer than necessary and had a faint glow, but otherwise passable. You guys nailed it. We used archival footage of hygienic rituals. There was debate over whether the paste should sparkle. I'm glad you went with no sparkle, Brayden said, rising and heading toward the sanitation station. I'm not a cartoon. Turn followed at a safe distance. May we observe the process for record-keeping purposes? Observing someone brush their teeth is not culturally flattering. We will remain silent. The sanitation station was immaculate, almost too clean. The mirror adjusted its angle automatically as Brayden leaned in, scrubbing his molars with exaggerated care. Turn and 2 junior analysts stood behind a transparent barrier, scribbling furiously on slates. Do you do this ritual after every illness? Turn asked, breaking his promise immediately. Yes, Brayden said, mouthful. Because being sick makes your mouth feel like a swamp. The analysts made a note of the term swamp sensation. After rinsing and spitting into a self-cleaning basin that vaporized the contents with a gentle hiss, Brayden turned, wiping his mouth on the sleeve of his hoodie. I feel like a person again. The transformation is remarkable, Rivek said, wide-eyed. Your color has returned. Your voice modulation is less strained. Brayden gave a short chuckle. You make it sound like I was on death's edge. I was just congested. Turn remained quiet, but there was a new tension in his posture. He shifted the datapad in his hands as they walked back toward the main corridor. You are not the first human we've hosted on a Virellian vessel, Turn said finally. But you are the only one to exhibit illness during diplomatic passage. Lucky me, Brayden muttered. There was concern that perhaps the planet's environment is inherently destabilizing. Brayden stopped. You think Earth made me sick? Possibly. I got the cold before I boarded your ship. There was a long pause. Then your species travels while infected? Turn asked, aghast. We're not contagious forever. There's a window. I didn't sneeze on the airlock. That is not comfort. They reached the communal lounge, typically reserved for interspecies meetings or downtime between briefings. Today it had been cleared and rearranged. A half-circle of cushioned seats faced a large holoscreen which displayed Brayden's recent biometric data in rotating panels. A faint aroma of citrus sanitizer lingered. What is this? Brayden asked. A review, Vale said, entering from a side passage. The Council believes your experience constitutes a case study in adaptive resilience. You will present your illness. I'm not giving a TED Talk on my sinuses. You will answer questions. Brayden sighed and dropped into the central chair. Fine. Shoot. A thin Virellian with translucent skin and a voice like rustling paper leaned forward. During the peak of your internal inflammation, you consumed toast. Was this a medical directive? It was toast. I wanted toast. Were you aware of its healing properties? It's comfort food. It doesn't heal, it just makes you feel human. Another Virellian, this one with bioluminescent shoulders, tapped a console. Define comfort in the context of immune response. Brayden rubbed his forehead. You know how some species sunbathe when injured? Or soak in mineral water? It's like that, but with carbs. The group murmured among themselves. Vale raised a hand. The Council has reviewed your data. We are inclined to believe your immune system is not only reactive but anticipatory. You think I plan my antibodies? You slept through the worst phase, Vale said. You allowed your body to engage autonomously. That's how sleep works. Yet you emerged functional. Without intervention. I had a blanket. This caused another ripple of astonished muttering. One of the aides nodded solemnly. We underestimated the textile's role. Brayden leaned back, letting his head rest against the padded seat. You guys are obsessed with what I didn't do. But the truth is, humans get sick all the time. We just deal with it. Turn tilted his head. And yet your kind continues to thrive, despite frequent biohazards. Because we adapt. We improvise. We keep moving even when we're sniffling. The room fell into contemplative silence. Then Rivek stepped forward holding a small case. We have created a prototype inspired by your methodology. He opened it to reveal a folded square of fabric. It was lemon yellow, faintly textured, and vibrated slightly. What is that? A containment-shielded comfort wrap. With thermal regulation, citrus scent dispersion, and embedded soothing frequencies. Brayden blinked. You made a space blanket. With mood lighting. We call it the Laskey wrap. Brayden closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. I'm flattered. But maybe just hand those out to the next diplomat who sneezes. That is the plan, Rivek said proudly. Vale approached, folding his hands. You may now return to your assigned quarters. Your bio readings are within acceptable margins. You are cleared for reintegration. Brayden stood, stretching slowly. Good. I'd like to sleep in a real bed. Should symptoms recur, Vale added, please report them before requesting heating accessories. I'll do my best. He made it halfway to the exit before turning back. You know, he said, you've got all this tech, scanners, synth food, fancy medical domes. But the best thing I had was a nap, a hot drink, and some toast. Turn nodded thoughtfully. We have much to learn. Brayden smiled faintly and headed toward the lift. The doors closed behind him with a quiet whoosh. In the lounge, the assembled Virellians remained silent for a long moment. Then Rivek tapped his slate. Proposal. Integrate comfort-based therapies into cross-species care protocols. Approved, Vale said, and with that, the session adjourned.